Grace sat in the living room sipping wine. Her stepdaughter, Peace, had everything: beautiful intelligence and, worst of all, her late father's fortune. Grace hated that she had no control over it. An idea struck her. If she could marry Peace to a poor man, she would finally get her away. With a smirk, she picked up her phone and called her friend Linda. It was time to set a trap. Grace's friend Linda had the perfect man, Raymond, a broke mechanic. He has no family, no wealth. If she marries him, she will suffer, Linda had whispered. Grace smiled. Perfect, she won't see it coming. Peace sat in the small office when Grace barged in. I found the perfect husband for you, she said, forcing a smile. Peace frowned. What? You're not getting any younger. His name is Raymond, and it's exactly what you need. Peace hesitated. Something felt off. Raymond wiped his hands on a rag, stepping back from his luxury car in his garage. He wasn't just a mechanic. He was a billionaire owner of a big company. His assistant, Divine, chuckled. Boss, a woman named Grace thinks you are broke and wants you to marry her stepdaughter. Raymond smirked. Let's play along. Peace arrived at the auto shop. She expected a desperate man. Instead, Raymond stood confidently, his sleeves rolled up, his sharp eyes watching her. You must be Peace, he said, shaking her hand. She nodded, confused. He didn't seem like a man who needs savings. Grace watched Peace leave for her meeting with Raymond, feeling victorious. In her mind, she had already won. Once Peace was married to a poor man, she would struggle, beg for help, and Grace would finally have control over her. Linda called. Are you sure she will agree? Grace laughed. She has no choice. She's too soft to resist for long. Grace leaned against the counter, watching Peace with curiosity. She wasn't arrogant like he expected. Instead, she stood uncertain, even nervous. So, your stepmother thinks I'm good for you? He asked with a smirk. Peace sighed. She's always making decisions for me. I just came to see for myself. Raymond smiled. Fair enough, let's see where this goes. Peace returned hope. In deep thought, something about Raymond doesn't add up. His hands were rough like a mechanic, but his confidence and way of speaking felt different. She sat on her bed, scrolling through her phone. A part of her wanted to search his name, but she shook off the thought. If he's just a simple mechanic, why do I feel like there's something more to him? The next morning, Grace burst into Peace's room. Well, how was he? She hesitated. He's nice. Good, you'll marry him. Peace's eyes widened. What? I just met him. Grace crossed her arms. Do you think men like that comes around every day? So stop wasting time. Peace clenched her fist. She was tired of being controlled. Raymond sat in his office, staring at his phone. He had played along enough. It was time to test Peace's character. He dialed her number. Peace, let's meet again, this time somewhere different. Peace hesitated but agreed. She had no idea that her life was about to change forever. Peace arrived at the restaurant Raymond had chosen. It wasn't a cheap place like she expected. It was elegant, quiet, and expensive. Strange choice for a mechanic, she muttered as she stepped aside. Raymond was already waiting. He stood as she approached, pulling out a chair for her. Glad you came. Peace sat down, watching him closely. This place doesn't seem like you. Raymond smiled. Maybe you don't know me yet. As they ate, Raymond noticed how Peace handled herself. She wasn't rude, greedy, or materialistic. Unlike her stepmother, she didn't treat people like they were beneath her. "So what do you think of me so far?" he asked. Raymond, Peace hesitated. "You don't seem like a poor man." Raymond smiled. "What if I'm not?" She raised an eyebrow. "Are you hiding something?" She chuckled. "Maybe." Grace was growing impatient. Peace wasn't resisting like she expected. But she also wasn't moving fast enough. She needed a push, she told Linda. "What do you have in mind?" Linda asked. Grace smirked. "I'll make her believe she has no choice but to marry him immediately." The moment Peace got home, Grace was waiting. "You need to prepare for your wedding," Grace said firmly. Peace's heart pounded. "Wedding? But, no buts. Raymond is a good man, and this man is good. This marriage is happening." Peace's mind raced. Why was her stepmother so desperate? That night, Raymond called Peace. "Meet me tomorrow. There's something I want to show you." Peace hesitated but agreed. Deep inside, she knew Raymond wasn't an ordinary man, and she was about to find out the truth. The next day, Peace met Raymond at the auto shop, expecting another simple conversation, but instead of taking her inside, he led her to a sleek black car parked nearby. "Get in," he said, with a small smile. Peace hesitated but got into the passenger seat. As Raymond drove, she watched the city change. The streets became cleaner, the house larger, the cars more expensive. "Where are we going?" she asked. "You will see," Raymond replied. His eyes twinkled with amusement. The car stopped in front of a massive mansion, bigger than anything Peace had ever seen. Her jaw dropped. This is your house?" she stammered. Raymond chuckled. "Yes, why still look like a struggling mechanic?" Peace was speechless. She turned to him, confusion in her eyes. "Why do you let everyone believe you were poor?" "Because money attracts the wrong people," he said simply. "I wanted to see who you really were." Meanwhile, Grace was busy planning how to trap Peace into marriage. She called Linda. "I'll tell Peace that Raymond is in a debt. She'll have to marry him to save him." Linda laughed. "That's perfect. She won't know until it's too late." But Grace had no idea that Peace was already discovering the truth on her own. Sitting in Raymond's luxurious living room, Peace tried to process everything. "So, you're a billionaire? But you pretended to be poor," she asked. Raymond nodded. "Yes, I need to know if you'll marry me for me, not my money." Peace's heart pounded. Grace had been forcing her into this marriage, thinking Raymond was broke, but now everything has changed. Raymond leaned closer. "Now that you know the truth, will you still marry me?" Peace hesitated, but because she didn't like Raymond. Not because she didn't like Raymond, but because she didn't want to be controlled. "I need time," she whispered. Raymond smiled. "Take all the time you need. Just don't tell your stepmother, and don't let her decide for you." Peace nodded. For the first time, she felt like she had a choice. As the wedding ceremony began, Grace was beaming. She thought she had won. Peace turned to Raymond. "Are you ready?" she whispered. Raymond nodded. When the priest asked if she would take Raymond as her husband, Peace took a deep breath. Then she turned to the guest and said, "Before I say yes, I have something to share." The hall was silent. Peace looked at Grace and smiled. "My stepmother forced me into this thinking Raymond was poor. But guess what? He's actually a billionaire." Gasps filled the room. Grace's face turned pale. "What?" Raymond stood up. "Yes, I know your plan, and you won't get a single penny from me." Grace collapsed into a chair. She felt defeated. Days after the wedding, Peace and Raymond started their new life together. For the first time, Peace felt free. No more first decision, no more control. Meanwhile, Grace's life took a turn for the worse. Rumors of her wickedness spread, and her friends abandoned her. No one wanted to associate with a woman who tried to manipulate her own stepdaughter. One evening, she sat in her once lavish living room, but it was no longer felt like home. It was quiet, so quiet. Grace sat alone at the dining table, staring at a cool plate of food. She had once dreamed of power and wealth, but now she had nothing. Even Linda, her closest friend, had stopped answering her calls. For years, she had been so focused on taking Peace's fortune that she never thought about what would happen if she lost everything. Now she was facing the truth. Her greed had left her with no one. A single tear rolled down her cheek. "Did I really do this to myself?" she whispered. One evening, there was a knock on the door. Grace's heart raced. Was someone finally coming to check on her? She opened it and gasped. It was Peace. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Peace sighed and stepped inside. "I didn't come to gold. I just wanted to check on you." Grace lowered her head. "You shouldn't be here," she muttered. Peace looked around. The house was no longer as beautiful as it was. Dust covered the furniture. The air smelled of loneliness. You wanted to control me," Peace said softly. "But in the end, you lost everything. Trying to take wasn't yours." Grace sat down, her hands trembling. "I was wrong, Peace. I see that now." Peace watched her for a long time. Then she placed an envelope on the table. "Raymond and I are moving to a new city. I'm giving you one last chance to change." Grace hesitated before opening it. Inside was money. Not much, but enough to start over. "I didn't hate you. I did not hate you. And I never hated you, Grace," Peace said. "I just hope you learn from this." As Peace walked away, Grace clutched the envelope to her chest, tears streaming down her face. She had lost the battle, but for the first time she felt the weight of her action. This wasn't just karma. This was the final chance to become a better person. Please subscribe.